Let's go back to square one and ask, and I'm going to ask two of you this to start, is there any place at all, any common ground on which black and white can meet in some area of mutual definition and understanding to make a beginning? Mr. Johnson, let me start with you and then go to Mrs. O'Donnell. What do you think? Is there any area we can stand together?
First, we have to consider, is there going to be an America anymore? It's that simple. Now, if there's going to be an America, we've got to agree.
Threats. Now, wait just a moment. Let's let Mr. Johnson have his say.
Reverend, I have more to lose than you. If there is going to be an America, we've got to agree that all men in America are created equal and their opportunities will be equal and their consideration under the eyes of the law will be equal. Now, after we've solved that problem, then we can move on to the next one. But the real God in America, America's God, is money. And when there is no participation in the money, you see, what all of us here are talking about is going to be futile. Black people must participate in the economy of their ghettos if there's going to be a ghetto.
Being an educator, I would like to know if you feel that maybe we can start with the school children, right down on the level on which I teach, for instance, which is junior high school, and work from there. One of the problems that we run into is the Negro child is not really educationally oriented in our particular area. It may be for several reasons. We have a terrific tardiness problem. I think this is a very bad habit for a child to have, because if they are allowed to come to school week after week and be late, they're going to just get into the habit of being late through life.
You say that you should begin on your level, but what should we do on that level?
Well, this is what I am suggesting something now, and I would like to hear what you have to say about it.
I happen to come from the Boston area. I'm a product of the Boston schools. I went on to college and graduate school. I happen to have 4 children who I think are educationally oriented.
Yes.
Yet I have a feeling that if my children were in your classroom, you would treat these children of mine exactly the same as you treat other children, or all other children, because you've classified them all having the same kind of a problem. The real problem, as I see it, is that our children are being taught by teachers in school systems all over this country by white people who are totally insensitive to the needs of the children that they have the responsibility for teaching.
I would treat your children the way I would treat the white children.
And that is wrong.
Well, then we shouldn't have integrated schools.
Mr. Hardin, you've got something you've been wanting to say.
Well, I think that everybody's trying to put the white man in a bad light. Now, we're not the bad guy in this situation. You fail to realize that we realize what you people are after, that you want courses in education on Negroes. Now, you can sit here and say, well, we're not doing it right this second. All right, I have to admit, too, that this very instant, we're not doing it. But in Maryland, for example, the Negro colleges in Maryland, they have curriculums in Negro education, but the white kids aren't taking it. All right, if they wanted to go to the Negro college, they could go to the Negro college and take it. The University of Maryland is putting in courses in Negro history. Fine. But the thing is, you just can't call us a bad guy right this second, because we're aware of what's going on, and we're aware of the fact that you people want to have these courses, and they're doing something.
Because you think
certainly they are.
History, and we don't want Negro
all right,
history.
You may not. All right, I'm not an expert in this field. Now wait a minute.
We want black
wait
history. So right now, everybody's talking about Negro and colored people. You all don't even know what we're talking about.
All right, I used the wrong connotation of the term Negro.
So long as you refer to us as you people and them continuously, you have set us aside as other people.
Well, that's what you're doing to us.
No, we don't.
You're saying that the white people are not offering us the courses we want.
We dignify people so that we can call white people white and black people black. We don't call you people or them, you see, so that this is not a we're not really at war. I would hope that we're not at war and that we're not going to be classified as the enemy.
We as a race of people, we are black by discolorance of consciousness. We prefer to be called Afro-Americans because we are African descendants. Just like you have your Irish Americans, your Italian Americans, we are African Americans.
One of the things that they're talking about. One of the things that. Excuse me just a second.
Yes.
Mr. Spencer has been waiting very patiently to say something.
Yeah, I was merely going to. You see, I keep yelling about Americans, and every one of us in this room is an American, right? Is there someone here that isn't an American?
I'm an Afro-American.
All right, but you're an American on the end.
Not really. I don't have all the rights.
All right, well, bless you anyhow. But what I'm getting at, remember, the power structure here and all that has occurred from the power structure, and it was white. And we're not trying to put you in a bad light, sir. And I am thoroughly confused with the good Reverend over here because of brotherhood and love, you know, that I'm taught now, and that I have been taught. I have been taught to love you all, not just the women, but the men also, as brothers. And I'm a law enforcement officer, and I enforce the laws, some of them that I hate, gentlemen. I have seen in some of these, as we call it, peaceful demonstrations, where someone is carrying a plaque that says, Jim Crow must go. And somebody comes out with an egg and smashes it in his face. This is assault and battery. And that individual that did the egg smashing should be arrested, not the one carrying the sign. However, I don't write these laws, you see, I enforce them. But getting back to you, Reverend, I would really like to talk to you sometime so I can understand your concept. No, I don't think we have enough time for you to fully explain to me how your concept could be love and brotherhood with some of the things that you have said here today.
Really?
I really don't understand.
What thing?
I don't understand how you, to me, what you have said, you believe in the separations. You don't believe in all
I did
American.
not say that.
Yes,
no.
but this is what
no.
I drew from what you have said.
Oh, well, I'm not responsible for what you think. I'm responsible for what I say.
You are one who is supposed to be teaching love and respect of God.
Reverend, what did you say in the church?
Is based on.
What did you say in the church about brotherhood and segregation? If you can capture it from the context.
Simply this, that the liberals have abused, misused, and distorted the term brotherhood. They keep harping on the point that all men are brothers. Jesus did not teach that, and that is not a platform of Christianity. In John 8:44, he said to one group, "Ye are of your father the devil." People are brothers.
Who wrote that? Who wrote that?
People are brothers who have trusted in Jesus Christ and are born again. Right. This is a spiritual brotherhood.
Who wrote it?
And this is the Christian brotherhood that's spoken of.
Who wrote it? Who wrote that, sir?
The Apostle John recorded this from the lips of Christ.
And they told you this, and you believe this.
Most
you weren't
certainly
there.
I believe
now,
it.
What is the
and neither
apostle
were you there.
interpret what Jesus Christ said and write it down?
This is why I say, you can't be a brother to me, and you are pushing away from me, and your very interpretation.
You're the antagonistic one.
I am not the antagonist. I am human, and you are human too, aren't you?
Yes, and I am an American, and I will agree with you on this point that we're all Americans. There's one of our number who has some reservation, but we are Americans. We are fellow human beings. I would hold tenaciously to a free society with free association, neither forced segregation nor forced integration.
Yeah, well, you know, we've proven that here in America we cannot operate unless we have laws controlling us, you see. Now, we all say in America, and you've taught me, believe me, I'm a good example of that schooling about America, you know. And at one time I could hear the Star-Spangled Banner, and you get all warm inside, you know, you really feel good.
Some of us still do.
But not now, I don't, because you see, I've lived here 39 years. And you heard me, I was trying to get a house, and I'm doing everything in my power to be a good human being, a good father, a good American, and I'm being frustrated, you understand? Or maybe you don't because you're white, you see, and that there, again, is another problem.
Mr. Laspina has something he wants to add.
It goes two ways. It's a two-way street. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to Chicago. When I can walk in your neighborhood without fear for my life, Well, then I don't feel so bad. You could live next to me.
Why do you have this fear for your life when you walk in a Negro neighborhood?
Because I've had things happen.
Someone created it, didn't
It could
they?
be because of a guilt complex. Is it because you have suppressed the black man?
No,
and
never.
You feel guilty
But I went
about
to school
this?
with him, and I was
I went to
one
school-
minority. And
My school
and
was
I had
integrated. I
trouble
went to
getting through
Harrison
school.
High.
I went to Krieger.
I played baseball with Italian boys, Spanish people, everybody. But tell me, why do you feel
Wait,
this
don't get
way?
me wrong.
Why do you feel this
I
way?
had an integrated wedding. I had everybody there, any nationality you
good.
can name.
This is good.
And yet, in school, I had a Catholic education. We always had colored boys, and
I
they were
came from
accepted.
Catholic school, St. Agatha's.
They were accepted. I had a good buddy that was colored. But yet...
Was he your best friend?
Yes, I would say
Hey,
that.
can I ask you a question now? You
But
say,
yet, wait a minute, if I could walk down Roosevelt without getting my skull broke, okay, then I'll say move next door
why
to
are you
me.
so afraid of going down Roosevelt? I walk down Roosevelt.
Because
I drive a bus down Roosevelt.
I've had problems.
You've
I've
had-
had
why?
problems
Why
in every
these
neighborhood.
problems?
Why? And I haven't
What's the
created
reason?
it. Just walking minding
You
my
said
business.
this,
Put me through Cicero.
I would do it.
Can I say something?
Can I get through without you? Right.
He said he had a buddy that you had a good
I
friend.
certainly would, equally
that
as
was,
afraid as he would.
Was colored, right?
Right.
Could you tell me, just explain how good? Just how good?
Well, we were inseparable,
Okay,
you might
tell me
say.
this. If this boy's house burned down doing the right, would your family take him in? Would they take, no, would your
I
family
would,
take him in?
myself.
Would
Well,
your
I'm
family
not
take him in? Okay,
responsible
okay.
for my
Well,
family.
This is what I consider. I just wanted to see.
My
This is what I
family is
consider a good
entitled to
friend.
their own opinion,
You
but
know,
I would say this. My mother probably would take me because we've had everybody in our house.
This is good. This is good. If we had more people.
But yet, I've never been invited to a colored house. I've never been escorted. I think what you've got, he's got the right idea, the African cult. If you can develop a business that's something that I want to go see, and I could go to your restaurant or buy one of your gifts without getting rolled, well, then you're on the road.
You say that this, I guess all this only happens.
Without getting rolled.
Yeah, this only happens
This
in the
ain't my
black
subject.
neighborhood. See?
We'd
This
like to buy
happens
some
in
of your
the.
furniture without getting rolled.
This happens in the white neighborhood.
Just a second.
We'd like to buy some of your houses without
It
getting
happens to me,
rolled.
too. I get rolled when I go get priced, too. You've got to shop
As the
around.
father said, there's all kinds of rolling.
That's right. And it's on both sides. It isn't just on your side now.
But you do the big rolling.
As far as the job, I don't do it. How do I do the big roll?
Wait, just a second. Father O'Malley, I think, wants to leap into this one.
No, I just think that that many times that we have stripped the black man of some dignity, and we continue to make statements that are very prejudicial. And if I were black, it would hurt me very much if someone would say some of his best friends are black or colored, whatever he said. But that's a prejudicial statement that we can't afford to make because it's an unchristian statement. And I think this is part of a problem too, that we just continue to say that some of our best friends are Negro.
And this is just hearsay, or this is just, words. There's no meaning.
Every white person I've ever met has
really,
a best friend as a
the black
Negro.
man has been stripped to so that he's almost naked. You know that?
Father, don't you think that happened too with many other races? I mean, I think the Jewish people.
I think that's why we should be most sympathetic.
And
Some of the neighborhoods that are so tight, really tight, for black people to move into
And way
are people who
back the
who have suffered.
certainly.
And they, above all people, should understand.
Mrs. O'Donnell, from where I sit, you look a little bit Jewish to me. This is funny to you because you have to tell me what you are before it means anything to me. And I don't have that privilege. You begin to discriminate against me before you find out, just where I came from, who my folks were, and what I'm trying to do. Because we have this visibility. You see what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
So discriminating against Jewish people, you must first find out that the person is Jewish, and then you must determine that you want to discriminate against Jewish people. I might want to discriminate against Irish people, and then I'll go to you. You see? Because I don't know what you are. I know you can't be Irish, Mrs. O'Donnell. So I won't discriminate against you. You see the mix-up, the crazy mix-up that our white people have created here.
We're saying we're afraid of each other, aren't we?
We are.
See, before you and I can ever get along, we've got to know something about each other.
But because my
and
father
within the
told me
educational
about the
system-
boogeyman. When
Yeah.
my father talked
Black
about the
people got
boogeyman,
tails.
I saw the black person.
Yeah.
See? And this is why I aim at the school system.
And yeah, my father, I don't believe was prejudiced.
Yeah, but look at your school system. Look at your TVs, your mediums. Everything's white,
The news mediums could point there. They distort everything because during which I don't call a riot really in Chicago, in a sense, I call it that the black man was just getting what he had due to him. In a sense, it's like a bank. You put your money in, you get interest. Well, for years, this white man has been jacking his prices up. He's been giving us inferior goods, equipment, and everything. So when the king was killed, this was just a good chance for us to get our interest back. So in a sense, sir, we looted the looters, because really they wasn't sold by the stores. These were fronts. Yeah, I know. These were fronts. We looted the looters. That's all you can say about that.
I spent 8 days in the street of Baltimore, and I talked to a certain woman in particular who was literally petrified, a Negro woman, that they were going to burn down the store in which she lived over top of. And I said, now why are you afraid of this? And she said, because the people in my neighborhood don't like me.
That's what I say. She might have been Uncle Tom.
So then I went down
Some people are going to have to suffer, or we're going to have people that have to be sacrificed in this crisis. You're going to have to sacrifice some people. If you burn a white man's store down and colored people live over them, well, this store's got to be burned.
Do you tell that family that that's the reason?
Well, they're going to have to be sacrificed.
They really know it, huh?
They'll have to be sacrificed in a sense. A lot of people are sacrificed in everything. You look at Vietnam. Look at all the innocent people over there that are being sacrificed.
Look at Martin Luther King.
Look at Martin Luther King.
Certainly, he lost the only real leader that the
white man really lost.
The last
man, this man loved
leader you had.
Right, that was that. This man loved the white man. He loved the white man to no extent.
See, just like the statement that you made.
Really a great love of the white man. That's what I would say.
I agree only in this vein about Martin Luther King now. Martin Luther King loved human beings, and I keep saying that, and everybody keeps clashing with the colors. But going back to the Baltimore riots, if you get a look at that whole general picture, you notice where all the frustrations and anxieties were directed. You notice what happened there? You notice it wasn't against people, it was against property and things like that. Did you notice this? So this is against the power structure. And every time I open my mouth, especially in front of TV or anywhere that I can be heard, I like to get at the Congress and the Senate. You know, I like to get at those people. They've got to make the laws, because man's heart is not there. And even though I'm a peaceful man, I don't turn my cheeks either, you see.
One of the interesting things here today that I find is the fact that you have 6 black people here, and you really have a unanimity of opinion about the most important, significant things we're talking about. Now, I'm quite sure that when this program was put together, no one went around looking for 6 black people with the same point of view, with the same opinions.
No, we didn't.
You didn't, obviously. But you ended up with 6 black people with the same opinions, the same point of view on what is the most significant problems they face. And I think you will find it very difficult to put together 6 black people in a single room today in this country who don't have a unanimity of opinion on these issues.
It is interesting that we've gone now for some time, that it took a white liberal to segregate this panel. I hadn't even noticed 6
Well,
black people. I noticed
and you're just kidding us when you say you don't notice the color of their
that there were black people.
I know they're black.
Black people and white people here. You're interrupting me. Black people and white people, yes. To actually count and line up sides, it didn't mean anything to me at all.
Well, she is so
That's
black.
a white liberal.
If she is so black, Reverend, you know, maybe it's beautiful.
It is.
But it's black. Maybe black is beautiful. Maybe white's beautiful also.
Do you mean
Maybe
to say,
people are
Reverend,
beautiful.
Do you mean to say, Reverend, that you do not see color around you, be it white or black? Do you see color within your church?
I see color here today, and I notice there are white people and black people.
How about your church? Do you see white people and black people within your church?
We've had Orientals, we've had colored people, white people, Mexicans, all are welcome. Now, today here, Americans, this is what struck me, people from various parts of the country who have come together to discuss how many were black, how many were white, if one is Jewish. This is of no particular significance to me.
It's only important to the people who are being oppressed and being taken advantage of. If a white person who happens to be in the majority of this country buries their head, it's easy to say there's no difference. I don't recognize any difference. It's easy for the white person to say that. However, it's the black person that's bearing the brunt of the issues. It's for the white person to become actively engaged and to recognize the black people and to help them,
Reverend,
not tell them what to do.
Reverend, do you think if you had a youth group within your church, and you know I've done this in different places, and asked some of the young people if they took a black young student home with them for dinner, unannounced, would there be any different reaction when they both come into the house than if the white student took another white student home? Would there be any kind of difference, do you think, in white American homes in general? Not all. I'm not going to make it a universal.
In white American homes in general, it probably would be noticed. In a definitely Christian home, a person is received as a person.
Okay.
Mr. Wesley, you look skeptical. Mr. Johnson, I'm sorry, you look skeptical about that.
You know, we sat in these chairs when we first walked in and watched the film. And in the film, we all chose up sides and we took a peek around and to see who was so far gone that we can't even communicate with them, and who might we have a dialogue with. And I was seated next to the pastor here, and I thought perhaps if I played my role a little down and talked mealy mouth, that perhaps he would accept, he'd accept part of my position, and perhaps our understanding would come into a oneness on maybe one or two issues. However, since we've been sitting here like the poles of a magnet, we have separated and separated and separated to the point that I could take him home and sit him at my table and break bread with him, if he's familiar with my type food, and show him to my children and try to say, now children, this is what you're going to have to deal with. This is what you're going to have to live with. This man has no understanding of what is happening in America in 1968 more than he did in 1922. He does not understand that if there's going to be one America, it's got to start being one now, or else there are going to be two Americas, and there cannot exist two Americas.
You have mentioned that we must understand and we must put into or allow, if this is the right term, black society money. They must put money into or have a power of money in the ghettos. Is this what you said before?
You cannot take all of the money out of the ghetto.
All right.
And take it elsewhere and expect the ghetto not to react.
All right, fine. May I ask then what else you expect of the white people?
Okay. Now you're beautiful.
Okay.
Now we can talk.
All right.
Don't do me any favors.
I am not in any way trying to do you a favor.
All right.
I am only asking a question so that I can better understand.
All right. I'm not prepared.
I think I can help you a little bit. I'd like so. I would like to ask us to agree, and I think this is a point that we can all agree on, that a house divided against itself cannot stand.
Right.
Even you can agree with that, good Reverend.
This is true.
Okay. Now, this is for the first time. I think we're all together. Now, I want to continue just 1 minute. And the young lady has asked for some of the things that we can do. Now, if we're going to work together, we have to get away from the ecclesiastics, because we know that we can't reach each other this way through religion. See, we can't. But we can reach each other through economics. We all understand in America what a dollar is, and we all know that it does not equal 100 cents anymore, and we all know that America tries to make the best use of its dollars. It tries to invest them in enterprises, and it tries to get from these enterprises profits in return to the owners. When we buy a share of stock in any one of America's corporations, we don't concern ourselves with policies other than their policy to get out and earn a profit and return us some money. This is what the American concern is. This has to apply to black people as well as any other people. So I say this. I say that those black people who can develop some expertise, and expertise in my book comes from opportunity. That's a product of opportunity, more so than anything else that I can see. This means when black people decide to develop business, it's up to white people, if they can see some hope in this business, to put their money in hoping that they can get more out than they put in. And this is the American way, and in my book, this is a significant part of our American materialistic dream.